Why do you play Genshin Impact? Maybe it's because of the beautiful vistas or the riveting story, or maybe you just like the character models and who could blame you. But whatever you enjoy most about this game, we can all agree that the damage system is absolute dog water. Wait, I think I misread my notes. Oh yeah, no, I take that back. A huge part of the community has rallied around Genshin Impact's robust combat and elemental reaction system, and there's no question as to why. So in Genshin, there are two main ways to defeat enemies: physical or elemental damage, and reaction damage. Types of physical and elemental damage can be split by the different damage bonuses that you can roll into a goblet: physical, hydro, pyro, cryo, electro, anemo, geo, and dendro damage bonus. The benefit from these artifacts is obvious, but they can be paired with not so obvious characters, like turning Dory into a hydro DPS with Candace. Physical damage builds are possible on nearly every character, and haven't gotten much love from Hoyoverse, but keep your eyes peeled for some physical DPS builds from me in the future. Now, on to what you've all been waiting for: elemental reactions. There are three types of reactions: transformative, amplifying, and additive. Each has different attributes, from being able to crit or not to how the reactions themselves scale. We'll be digging a bit into damage formulas today, so prepare your brain spaces. Most information, including formulas and constants, are provided by kachingmains.com. First and foremost, we need to discuss reaction priority. This wasn't much of a conversation before Update 3.0, as we didn't have two elemental auras that didn't react before that. Cryo, pyro, electro, hydro, and dendro auras can all be applied to enemies, whereas anemo and geo auras can't. The only anemo and geo auras I've come across are from their respective hypostases. Reaction priority comes into play when you apply cryo and dendro auras to an enemy, then follow up with another element that can react with both auras. The third element interacts with the cryo aura first, then dendro if there's any left over. We saw this in my 5 tips video, where I covered creating additional dendro cores, and we'll get further into the details in the next video in the series. So on to transformative reactions. This category contains swirl, superconduct, electrocharge, shatter, overload, bloom, burgeon, and hyperbloom. As a general rule, these reactions can't crit, with the exceptions being bloom, burgeon, and hyperbloom when combined with Nahida's second constellation. All transformative reactions scale off not only elemental mastery, but also character level. For a team that depends on these reactions, characters should be leveled up as far as possible and given as much EM as possible, but not so much crit or attack. Running some simple numbers, assuming no reaction bonus like what you would get from some artifact sets, characters running transformative reactions will theoretically get double the damage running an elemental mastery of 133 compared to 0. Given their level stays the same, and ignoring any enemy resistance. Remember this number, as we'll use it as comparison to the other types of reactions later. But all those artifacts that rolled into the useless stats for transformative reactions would be pretty much perfect for amplifying reactions. This is where Melt and Vaporize find their home. While there are only 2 of them, each one has a forward and reverse side to the reaction. Basically, no matter how you perform them, the reaction takes place, but one side has a higher damage multiplier, which would correspond to the forward side, relegating the lower multiplier to be called reverse. For Melt, the 2 elements that are in play are pyro and cryo. If the cryo aura is applied first, and then attacked with pyro, the melt reaction will result, multiplying the instigating damage by 2. If the elements were applied in the opposite order, the multiplier would only be 1.5. So for Melt, forward would be melting with pyro, and reverse would be melting with cryo. Vape, short for Vaporize, is very similar, with its forward and reverse multipliers matching Melt. The 2 elements interacting here are pyro and hydro, with forward vape resulting when hydro is applied to a pyro aura, and reverse vape being vice versa. These 2 reactions also scale with elemental mastery, but to a far lesser degree. Looking at the numbers, we'll set up a situation just like what we used for transformative reactions. Only considering elemental mastery, characters connecting Melt or Vape would need an EM of 768 to double their EM-based multiplier compared to 0 EM. As you can see, each point of elemental mastery is far less valuable for these reactions. The advantage that amplifying reactions have over transformative, however, is that they can crit. And since crits are calculated at the same time as reaction multipliers, they all stack up together. For example, if we ignore EM and a character has a crit damage value of 100% and deals 100 pyro damage to an enemy with a cryo aura, getting the 2 times damage multiplier, the 100 damage will get another 100% added from the crit, making it 200. Then another 2 times that for the forward melt, resulting in a total of 400 damage. There are multiple ways to elevate this, like strategically using reverse side reactions with characters with higher attack multipliers and crit values, to reducing enemy resistance and defense to increase the potency of the damage inflicted. Finally, let's discuss additive reactions. This is the newest classification, housing unique dendro-electro reactions added in version 3.0 with playable dendro characters. There are 3 interactions here, one that doesn't do any damage and 2 that do. The one that doesn't is called Quicken, which basically serves as a precursor for the other 2, Aggravate and Spread. Quicken creates its own aura that looks and acts like a regular dendro aura, so you can still perform Burning and Bloom. The order of the dendro and electro application for Quicken doesn't matter. Electro after Quicken triggers Aggravate with the multiplier of 1.15, while dendro after Quicken triggers Spread, multiplying the damage by 1.25. Additive reactions try to pull the best from both worlds, meeting in the middle with lower EM scaling than transformative reactions, needing 300 EM to perform double the damage of an attack at 0 EM, but still better EM scaling than amplifying reactions, and lower damage multipliers than either side of amplifying reactions. So with middle of the road EM scaling and damage multipliers, what really keeps additive reactions from fading into the background is the fact that they can crit. Now it's time for everyone to take a deep breath. I've created some data tables for each reaction type and their scaling, but I won't show you those because I don't want you to fall asleep. Instead, I have 3 nice graphs to help with the visualization. So we'll go through 3 scaling curves. One that shows how these reactions scale with just base damage, how they scale with only elemental mastery, and how they scale with both. The last one will more closely match what you'd expect to see as you build your characters. We'll use a damage range of 100 to 5,000 and an EM range of 0 to 1,000. We'll also assume the best case scenarios for the reactions, using the Burgeon Hyperbloom multiplier of 3, the Forward Amplifying multiplier of 2, and the Spread multiplier of 1.25. Again, all formulas used can be found on kachingmains.com. To simplify our damage formula, we'll remove any consideration for enemy defense and resistance, as well as any additional constellation or weapon procs that would add damage on top. Now let's take a look at each graph. So from the 3 charts, you can clearly see how reactions scale. As expected, amplifying reactions scale most off damage, not so much the other 2. However, you can see transformative and additive scale far better with elemental mastery. It might not seem clear at first, but the 3rd graph gives very valuable insight into which reactions are best depending on how much you've played on your account. On the left-hand side, from 100 damage and 0 EM to around 1500 damage, 300 EM, transformative and additive reactions should perform better than forward-facing amplifying reactions. Meaning that while your account's young and your characters are unbuilt, you should focus on these types of reactions. As your characters grow, and you're able to deal more damage with a melt or vape comp, amplifying reaction scaling eclipses the damage of the other 2, which is why some of the best teams for late game content depend on melt or vape to clear enemies. Which reaction do you use the most? Comment down below. I hope you liked this deep dive into elemental reactions. In part 3, we'll be covering elemental gauge theory, or how much element is applied to an enemy, and how they react with each other. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.